Hello everybody, Reggie Time here with a little review video. There isn't much to talk about in terms of my progress since the last video, so we're not just going to play the video through its background. We're actually going to quickly spin through all the hands and just stop at any spots, kind of just talk at them at video pace, and any ones that are interesting we'll stop and talk about. Some are just cooler, some are bad beats, some might be semi-interesting, some are just whales doing whale-like things. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and hopefully it won't be a massively long video, which the second half of which people tend not to get to unless they are super fans. Talking about super fans, if you are one of my super fans, I am for the next week doing a collection to support a local disabled children's youth group that we've given support to in the past via various collections on here. I was hoping to have a collection and then donate the money so they could have the most awesome Christmas party ever, but due to the way of the world at the moment and all the current virus restrictions, Christmas parties aren't going to be happening this year, are they? So I'm going to just collect the money in, and sometime next week, hopefully, get hold of the group leader, go and give him the money so he can ensure all the kids get an extra present this Christmas, because lots of them, because they're vulnerable, they've been shielding this year, they've barely seen the world. It's such a bloody shame for everybody, but for the disabled children who maybe aren't capable of understanding just what's going on, they'll be feeling very isolated, very vulnerable, very locked away, like the world's forgotten about them. And I think it'd be lovely if they just got an extra present this year to show them that, we are still thinking of them, they are remembered, and hopefully, there's something to look forward to, remind them that their group exists, and hopefully they can get back to it next year and get back to socialising in a safe and well controlled environment. So yeah, we're doing that. So if you do want to donate to that, and no amount is too small, you can get in touch with me via the links beneath the video, the Facebook, not Twitter so much at the minute, because I'm trying to give myself a 2-week holiday from Twitter, because it's just full of negative news, and I'm trying to avoid negative news because I've been feeling a little bit anxious and low lately with all what's going on in the world. So I'm going to try and be a lot more positive. Let's get this money raised, let's avoid fucking Twitter, let's not argue with fuckwits on Facebook who for some reason think wearing a mask is silly, stuff like that. So yeah, if you do want to donate, click the Facebook link below or email me and get in touch that way, and I'll be more than happy to relieve you of your money and pass it on to what I think is a very, very good cause. So how's the month gone so far in poker? It's gone, I don't know. We talked about it in the last video where I got off to a good start, then we had the situation with the virus or the potential virus in the family that turned out none of us had it, which made me miss my son's 21st birthday, which made me feel a bit low and sad, which possibly triggered some bad play from me. But since then, it's gone pretty well. I've won a few buy-ins on PP Poker, and I've won around $100 or so on the new Poker Bros clubs that I put a video up for the other day and then had to take it down again quite quickly due to Poker Bros not liking their logos or images being used anywhere for promotional real money games. So yeah, it's going all right. We're back on track, which is good. And yeah, now we're just going to look through these hands and see if we can't entertain and amuse ourselves and pick up on any mistakes I'm making in real time that I need to be aware of for future sessions that I'm playing. I think this is just going to be a bog standard cooler, I think, for this guy. Spoiler alert, we win. So this raw skill was he's an interesting character. He is bad, very bad. He's got over a 50 VPIP, and he enjoys chat proing and calling people muppets in the chat. Yeah, he's a fun guy. He tells people how bad they are, calls them muppets, and then loses his money constantly. So we've had exactly how big was this pot for this guy to make it 9? Ah, it's quite big anyway because it was a raised pot pre-flop and everyone called, so 9 seems an appropriate size. Yeah, there's already 10 in the pot, so 9 seems an appropriate sizing. If he's got a value hand, that is. So what should we be doing here? We've got bottom set on a dryish flop. I mean, there's some straight draws out there, but there's no flush draws. Should we just be calling here, allowing one of these guys to possibly draw at a straight? If they've got a straight draw, it's it's going to be 5-3, 9-7 or some gut shots. I mean, trust me, in this club, if there's a draw out there and people are calling, there's a good chance that they're on a draw in some description. Or do we just assume this guy's got an overpair and want to get it in before one of those cards comes? We don't want to see a 3, 5, 7, 9. None of them are good. 10, deuce. They're like basically any card under a 10 that doesn't pair the board. Either it's going to kill our action or kill our hand. So what should we do? Should we raise now, or should we just call and take a risk that one of those cards comes off? What do you think? Personally, I think this guy's probably got an overpair, so we should raise just to try and force him to jam, or call and then we just jam turns. But I think there is some merits in slow playing on such a dry board. Anyway, we did raise, he jammed, and there you go. This guy's a regular, by the way. He plays, multi-tables. He's relatively tight. He's not super tight. He's not as tight as me, but he's definitely what I would consider to be a regular. And he's just raised and then 3-bet jammed ace-8 off versus one of the tightest players in the games. So, yeah. Well done, you. And we drag down a full stack. To the next hand, we have 2 queens. We have 6x ISO'd versus this player here. The player's involved. I don't know if this guy gets involved or not. He's like a kind of loose-ish, passive-ish player. Not super loose, but definitely on the loose passive side. This guy is on the very loose passive side. And he limp calls. We get pretty textured board. And depending on when this hand was played, this is the board now. If I was playing this hand now, I would almost certainly overbet in these games against this player type. If they have any draw, if they have any piece of the flop, like a 7, maybe a 5, maybe an overbet makes them fold a 5. If they have a 7 or an 8, if they have any draw whatsoever, 0 fucks are given by these players and they just call. I think if this guy has any piece of this board except the 5, if he has better than the 5, but worse than pocket queens, I think we could easily bet $13 here and get a call a lot of the time. So now if I was playing, I would absolutely be going for an overbet, whether I did at the time or not. I'm not sure. We did go with the overbet. He did call. I mean, it's a reasonable turn card, I guess. It's not an overcard, although he shouldn't really have any floats with just an overcard in on this board, unless he's got like ace 7, ace 8 or ace 5 specifically. I mean, if we saw a king, I wouldn't be remotely bothered about it. The jack, the 10-9 does get there. Things like jack 7, jack 8 do improve. It shouldn't hit him hard, but it's called an overbet, and a card that improves some draws has hit. So you're never super happy about it. But at this point, with an SPR of like under 2, we're probably not going anywhere. What would I like to see myself do here? Again, I could get on board with a jam, although I think jamming on the jack probably folds out any 7x he called the flop with. Obviously folds out any 5x, probably folds out some 8x too. So, but if we bet too small and we give all the draws a price, and this might have improved him. If he's got a hand like Jack 10, for example, I think he'd just call it off now with an overbet. Or if he's got like Jack 9, things like that, which he can definitely have. So, what size would I like to see myself do? I don't just hate jamming, as given he's like called 6x pre and called 1.5 times pot on the flop. Don't hate jamming. I don't hate just making it like big 20s as well, like anything 25 or higher. Certainly don't want to see myself go less than $25. Oh wow, I put the old delay on. 24, fucking just to troll myself, I'll go 24.60 and he does just call. We get a lovely safe river, and now obviously we just jam. Nothing else to talk about this hand. We jam, and just hope he finds the call with something. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Limp call 6x pre on 5-6. Call an overbet with a pair and an open ender. Call the turn with just a pair and the open ender still, and then call it off on the brickiest to brick rivers. Now I get this board's been very coordinated, and he might be thinking, oh, this guy can have a load of draws, I need to like, defend bottom pair, but yeah. It's a very good example of the things that can happen in these clubs. Way more than you see in any of the games you play if you're not already a club player. Right, so we have ace, king of the same colour. We have friend of the channel, Zach in the big blind. He makes me look loose. We have Shark Bank, who's like a semi-loose passive regular, never buys in full. Doubt he's winning. Troy B is another similar type player to Shark Bank. Orange Duck I don't remember, and this guy I don't remember. Orange Duck might be a regular actually. I'm not that familiar with the name. We certainly haven't tangled very much. Oh, my tea's gone cold. So here we've just flopped a topperst pair with the topperst kicker, backdoor flush draw. We get the feeling this hand is going to be very interesting. Why on earth have I bet that size there? And why have I just sped the video up? Perhaps it might be a good idea to speed the video up. I must have played this hand a while ago when I was fucking around with small sizes to induce. Looks like it might have worked. Does that actually work? Does that actually speed things up? No? Have I jumped on too far? Oh, I jumped on too far, you fucking idiot. Oh, Reggie, we'll be done. Oh, then there's a spoiler on this hand. Right, stop clicking things you don't understand, Reg. Sorry everybody. So we'll look at this hand again. Is it now going faster? No. Right, so we isolate. You already know he's got a set of fives. We c-bet small to try and induce a raise on the driest flop ever. He check raises. We think all our Christmases will come at once. He's got a set, and I ruin his hand by clicking buttons that I didn't know what they did. On to the next one. Walk off that one. It was a clusterfuck of a hand when played, and it was a clusterfuck of a hand when reviewed. On to the next one. Nightmare. The loose passive guy from earlier has gone all in for 13 or so blinds. Mr. Z, the whale, has just flatted, which is quite remarkable. Then we've got Zach and Captain Dyson, both friends of the channel, both as tight as each other and tighter than me, just maybe. So we want to, if we just flat here, they're never ever going to squeeze light, given the action. So if they were to come over the top, we could be rest assured that our eights are in pretty rough shape. But do I want to get more money in pre-flop versus Mr. Z, who's just flatted this fucking well, no, it's not an absolute shove size, but for like a calling situation, it's bonkers. So do we raise here and just commit against Mr. Z? Do we just fold because it's only pocket eights? Or do we call and then, if one of these guys gets out of line, just take our lumps and fold? What do you think? I raised, obviously committing myself at this point. He calls, and then this flop comes, and we're just like, what the fuck? It's a $59 pot, so there's 100 blinds in the pot already. We've got an SPR of 0.5, and we got this absolute joke of a flop. Fucking shambles of a flop. Just fuck right off of a flop. Checky to check. Obviously, I'm folding at any point if Mr. Z bets. We're just happy to check it down. And he called whatever it was pre, 13 big blinds pre with 3-7 suited. He then called when I made it like fucking 40 odd blinds. And then he didn't bluff at any point when he completely missed, and we were basically fucking waving a white flag at him, manically saying, we've got fuck all, we've got fuck all. He didn't give a fuck about any of those things. And yeah. Pause the video, click the link to my Facebook, get in touch and say, Reggie, you fat shithouse, get me in these games so I can print some money off just by being a boring nit. That's what you need to do right now. Don't watch the rest of the video. Just get rid of it. Contact me now. So we have the Ace King Red. Whale here, regular here. With 4x from the cutoff. We flopped a gut shot royal flush draw. We bet. Whale calls. Turn the brick. So I guess now the question here is again, and this guy was major whale, like think 50 to 60 VPIP, single digit PFR. What do we do here? Do we, if we check, well, yes, checked. Do we just take our free card to realise our equity? Do we fire out a normal size bluff again? You know, probably not with the expectation it's going to work very often on that brick of a turn card. So do we bet like, I don't know, upwards of $10, less than 16 as a turn barrel and just side call it off if he shoves? Do we go with an overbet? Do we just fucking put it in 4x pot overbet? Do we go with a $25 bet and commit? So basically any bet we make commits us given how much equity we've got. So basically, do we bet and then call it off? Do we just go with the massive overbet rip, or do we check and realise our equity? What would you do? I hit my time bank again and went with the overbet. He just flatted, which is quite remarkable that you're going to flat an overbet on that turn. It's an interesting line from him. It turns out it was just a massive cooler. Sorry, I didn't realise that. I thought I'd pause the video. But yeah, we get to the river. Obviously, we river the notes and we just jam. And we could have just saved time and got the money on the flop because he had a flop set. We had a monster draw. Would have been a lot easier just to go check, bet, raise, call, bang, get it in. But no, he had to fucking drag it out over 3 streets just to waste my finger energy. That to be fair. No, it'd be that one, wouldn't it? Could be put to much better uses. Here you have the same player at the same table. We've gone with the 6.5x ISO. We've flopped an open ender this time. And we have another whale behind us calling. I think we should just bet this flop. Bet small. Why have I bet small there against 2 people who don't fold? That makes no sense. That's bad, Reggie. You bet small there, perhaps against people who do fold, given you know, we're with a pre-flop raise there. We've got equity, etc. So I don't mind the small bet very much on that flop, but not against two people who never fold. I'm not sure what I was thinking there. We turn absolute bunch of equity again. I mean, again, if we bet, we're committed with this huge draw. This guy's pretty passive. Do we want to bet again here against two people who haven't folded on a non-threatening turn card to a lot of their pairs that called the flop? We want to bet again. We want to check and realise equity. Do we want to overbet again, given we've got such a huge draw? But we are mega deep now against this guy. We're still 200 blinds deep against this fellow. So I'm not sure we'd want to get 200 blinds in at this point. So I don't remember what I did, but I think I'd probably... I just see myself betting upwards of 15 here. Or checking. But probably betting 10. Gone with the small bet again, which is I don't understand and I don't like. I mean, if we'd gone with a larger bet here, then we'd have had more money to make a larger value bet. Now we've rivered the nuts. We're kind of betting 480 and 10. It's up to awkward. We'd have bet 8 and then 22 on the flop. Can't be asked doing the maths, but we'd have had a lot fucking bigger pot with the nuts on the river, and we could have made a much larger river value bet. So, yeah, my sizing here has not been good for various reasons during this hand. So even though we're going to win the hand, I'm not very happy with my playing it. I go with the overbet, and he calls, and we don't get to see what he called with, but delightful. Will here, don't know this guy, but we have, this is a 100nl hand now, and we have an overpair in a heavy multi-way pot. I'd like to see me bet quite big here. That is not big enough again, Reg. So if we'd a bet bigger on the flop, we could just rip this turn now. So yeah, that I don't do the small size C bets anymore, possibly because of stuff like this. I've kind of stopped doing it. I still do it against regulars with like more of my hands, but against these like loose passive players, I'm just not C betting as much often. And when I am C betting, it's usually for value or with a pretty big draw, and I'm using larger sizings. So I guess, yeah, against these guys like the regulars, I'm using more like 33 to 40% pot, stabbing more frequently with like smaller sizes with a wider range. And against these weaker players, we're not c-betting air as often, and we are c-betting like lower frequencies using larger sizes with our value and with our hands that have good equity. So yeah, I should have bet bigger on the flop, than we could just jam this turn. Maybe I just jam anyway, who knows. We do, and the guy calls it. I mean, he's limped called 5.5x pre at 100nl with, albeit just Aussie dollars, which is like 55 an L in sterling, 70 an L in US. He's called 5.5 blinds with 5-8 off. He's called a flop C bet, and now he's called it off on the turn, adding just a gut shot. And we win again. Oh, we win it 3 times. Okay. And we win all 3. So we have Bluffinator here, who I'm not familiar with. Don't remember him. We have Zach, who's called, friend of the channel. And for some reason I've decided to flat ace king in the small blind. For what reason I do not fucking know, because we can't be expecting a jam coming from this guy because he's just so passive. So I've no fucking clue what I'm doing here. Can't think of why I would have done this. Maybe I was timing out and just clicked a fucking button to stay in the hand. Was a timing out? We can actually find out was a time back or was that bullshit. How quickly did I call? Nope, there was no timing out issues. Oh, hang on. That was the first bit. Sorry. How quickly did I call the first time around? No, fuck knows what I'm doing here. I haven't got a clue. I offer no defence, my lords. Yep. No idea what the fuck I was doing there. But I got exactly what I deserved. There's another change to my strategy I made lately. I wouldn't be isolating here on the button with this hand. I don't think. I think I would isolate sometimes. But with these stack sizes in the blinds, I'd be more inclined to overlimp. And that's an adjustment I made starting 2 days ago, and it's going really well so far. Overlimping buttons and some cut-offs with more implied odds type hands rather than kind of bloating the pot, missing, and then not finding too many shots to bluff versus loose passive stationary type opponents. I think the overlimp strategy works really, really well in these games with these types of hands like this, 6-7 suited, 5-4 suited, small pocket pairs, etc. In games where c-bets aren't particularly effective, I think overlimping becomes a very viable strategy. I'm not decided. I won't decide on open limping yet. I haven't done that. Maybe we slot it in some of our early position plays. Who knows? You guys will go fucking nuts with open limping, but I think it has merits in these games. Anyway, we flop virtually the nuts. Our opponent leads into us. We raise. He calls. Board pairs a turn. And not asked at this point. We've got an SPR of just over 2. He jams. We call. He's got ace-7 off suit. He's limp called pre with ace-7. He's floated a flop with absolutely fucking nothing. And he's donk jammed the turn 10. And he's drawing dead. Again, if you didn't follow my advice earlier about pausing the video or even just fucking stopping it and contacting me, why not? Look what can happen to you. Get in touch. This guy is in my opinion, not particularly good regular. We're upset manning. Bet we flop a set. Yay, what a surprise. Now, here. I don't like it. I don't like the check. It's a multi-way pot. We've got like a weakish regular who's not going to c-bet this board with air. So we're trying to get a check raise in a situation where we've got passive player, and regular who isn't going to c-bet here unless he has like King X plus or a strong draw. If he's got pocket jacks, pocket queens, he's almost certainly going to check. If he's got ace high, he's definitely going to check. I think we should just lead here, and I think we should lead pretty big. Maybe lead out for full pot. So I don't like my check. As it luck would have it, we get bailed out by the passive player having a stab. We obviously raise. Turn is an absolute shithouse of a turn. Leads all in. Don't think we can fold. If we are behind, then we can bolt up and win. You've seen what people go all in with in these games. He doesn't have to have a flush here. He can have who knows fucking what. Obviously, we don't like to see that card, but given, we're getting a good price to call. We're not getting the correct odds. If he does have a flush, we're not getting the correct odds to boat up, but he doesn't have to have flushes, nor does this guy. So we just commit, and then we were dead in 2 spots. But we were live to scooping. Again, lots of limping. Let's see us bump this up. Which we do. Flop the overpair. Big c-bet please, Reggie. Nope. Still going with small ones. We get raised. I think I would have enjoyed seeing a jam there, but never mind, we didn't. I mean, we have to bet this river, don't we? Yeah, we do. We bet small. And we win, and we don't know what we won against. Ace 4 offsuit. I'm not sure what this hand's going to happen. We flop a draw, albeit not a particularly exciting one. He leads out, we call. We turn a straight. He leads out again. A pot this time. Put a small raise in. He piles. And he had us dead on the flop with the 8-4 offsuit. So, yeah, the 3 was not good for us there, but never mind, I guess. This guy is he plays his stack size all the time. He's very kind of weak tight. He's like a tight fish. I mean, we can't fold obviously, but Ace Queen wouldn't be doing exceptionally well against his range here. But this guy's putting some dead money in, and these guys behind, I'm not familiar with them, so I'm presuming they're both not regulars. Probably just raise here. We should probably 3-bet. We do. He's limp jammed. We should probably fold at this point, I think. I don't think he's ever doing this with a worse hand. And he has kings. And do we get there? No, we don't. Yes, I think that one is kind of like, when you see the limp raise 3-bet jam, that is, even in these games, it's not a line that you see as a bluff very often. I mean, maybe it's someone just fucking going crazy with pocket fives or something, but I think we didn't have to lose our money there. But maybe that's just me being a little bit results orientated. Here we guess we're going to go set mining, and presuming we're going to hit one, otherwise the video, it wouldn't have made the video. What a surprise. Donk out, Reg. Bet, Reg. Bet. That's more like it. And you had 2 kings, so whatever we did, the money was going in, whether we check raise a flop or take the line we took. 2 10s here. I guess we're set manning again. Maybe we could consider squeezing. We do go with the squeeze. Not familiar with this guy, but this guy is an absolute premium whale. This Farouk, whatever you want to call him. And I'm not sure even where I put this one in, because it's just a rather tedious flip that we lose. Calling it off with 8, especially the Wales gem when we flop a set. Again, not a very interesting one. I did say they weren't all going to be interesting. A couple of rather dull ones in a row. Again, the same whale as before. We need to be squeezing here for sure with our ace queen. So these ones, I think we'll go through a little run of just not particularly exciting hands. They're always a bit boring when they're just all in pre, aren't they? And we lose again. We notice that when we're getting all the money in with cards to come, we're not doing too well. When we're playing some post flop, we're doing much better. I think that gives me something that I want to talk about for a little while. In the in these games, or in any poker game really, the more often we're just getting it all in pre-flop or with cards to come, the more we're kind of in with the lap the lap of the gods. I always do better at poker when there's lots of play to be had post-flop. You know, the earlier the money all goes into the pot, the most of the time, the worse your equity and results tend to be, in my opinion. You know, if we're getting it all in pre-flop, we see a pocket queens, ace king, that type of thing, then we're going to be getting it in a lot of the time. You know, with between 35 to 70% equity, and averaging out maybe over the course of all those all-ins, maybe 55 to 60%. So we're getting it in with an edge for sure against these guys. But I often feel, and I still do, that we can just do much better than that by keeping SPRs on the low side and waiting for our opponents to make bigger mistakes post-flop. They're not making a huge mistake if they're getting it in pre with like ace queen, ace king, pocket tens, pocket jacks, etc. As you can see, like when we get obviously in this video, if we encourage more post-flop play, we can force our opponents to get it in worse more often. We can kind of really get our foot on people's fucking throat and stamp on them, rather than giving them like a fighting chance by getting it in pre. So yeah, the last few hands, if anything, they kind of vindicate my. And I think every hand we've played where we've got it all in, you know, we haven't made any terrible mistakes. But I think had we played some post flop rather than just all pre flop, maybe I could have cut some of those losses. Now the flip side to that is that by getting it all in pre, sometimes we get lots of value from hands that maybe would have folded post flop. So there is a flip side to that argument. But yeah, it's just not my style to be the ramming and jamming pre flop type, and I don't necessarily enjoy the variance that can attract to. Anyway, we've seen a limp jam here. This time we actually had the best hand against a limp jam. We didn't win. Big deal. Crack on. Some guys come with a massive overbet open. We rip. He calls with king 3 suited. Did warn you some of these hands weren't going to be particularly interesting, but they had a fucking good advert for the games. Nice big C-bet, please, Reggie. I'll do. Big enough. Nice big turn barrel, Reggie, like 9 plus. I'll do. Oh, beautiful. We needed the help. So you had the king 6. I guess that's... If you decide to play the king 6 pre-flop, I guess that's pretty much a cooler for you. Post-flop. Big squeeze, please, Reg. Big squeeze now. 3 people are in. 7 plus, I think. Even though no one's really got any money. We could maybe think about going smaller to keep them in, but... I don't mind the bigger squeeze there. Just hope somebody comes along. If they don't, then they don't. And trivial flop shove. Crack on. Next hand, please. Next hand, please. Get on with it, Reg. Why are you taking so long? And we're up against a set, and we get there. Another not very interesting hand. Not sure why I even put that one in, to be honest. Aha, these are some hands from yesterday that were very interesting. This guy, he was something like 50 something with a 30% pre-flop raise, 10% 3-bet. The guy wanted action. He was an action guy. This person was chatting up nice in the flop. Seems like a decent person. Kind of a fish though, to be honest. So we 3-bet, which we were delighted to do. And he called 4-bets there. He hadn't been doing that. And again, we're in one of them situations that we've just been talking about. Like, can we do better than getting ace queen in pre-flop against this guy? Now, he was a very, very bad loose aggressive player. But even bad loose aggressive players, how often are they 4-bet bluffing? I hadn't seen him 4-bet yet. And later in the session, I did pick up a sizing telling him where if he was 4xing pre, he was like top of his range, and when he was 3xing or less, his hands weren't of a particularly high grade. But I didn't know this at the time, and I was just delighted to pump all the money in against him. Sadly for us, he had the cure for ace queen. He had more than the cure for ace queen. Fortunately for us, we had a sun run yesterday and we got there. This guy was super loose passive on the button. He hasn't raised, so he's got nothing. Make a 6x ISO. Big bet, please, Reg. Don't care the board's dry. Big bet. Nope, not big enough, but never mind. He calls. If we'd have bet bigger on the flop by even just $3, we'd have had an extra 6 in the pots. That'd have been 24. He'd have been down at a stack of 26. We could just have shoved this turn. Maybe a shove it anyway. No, we have to go small again because we didn't manage to pot properly on the flop. And then we just have like the trivial river shove. And he looks it up with the 9-5 suited. Another very, very loose passive player. He limps in. This guy goes with the smaller 3-bet, smaller open. And I think I'd picked up on his size and tell by now. If we'd have made that, say, 240 or 270, maybe I just call with the King Jack. But I'm pretty confident he's weak when he's using that size. So we go with a larger size, hoping to induce some folds from like his nonsense that he's just raising clicking buttons with. But we get action in 2 spots. Even though this flop like massively hits my range, it's not good for our actual hand in terms of like, we probably don't have the best hand. And do I expect either of these guys to fold a better hand? Maybe if they're in the hand with like pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 6s, etc. Maybe, but as we talked about earlier, I'm just not taking these spots, especially multi-way against 2 whales. So at this point, I'm just kind of giving up, hoping to improve. We don't improve on the turn. And we just giving up until we get the Miracle River. He leads out small. We have the easiest raise ever. It's just a matter of what size do we make it. I think I like that sizing. With him betting small, don't think he's especially strong. I think if you had a strong hand, if you had like a 2-pair type hand or better, I think he would have made a bigger sizing. I was very familiar with him by now. I think he would have made a much larger sizing. He was tanking a lot with his like nutted stuff, tanking, almost timing out, and then betting much bigger. So didn't think he was super strong here, but obviously we need to raise because we've got the nuts. He calls and obviously we win. I think this might be the last hand, I'm not sure. Yes, it is the last hand. It's going to trigger you guys. The other trick is the limp pot, so we didn't raise pre with the king jack suited, which I think is a mistake. But I've been struggling in spots where I've had some pretty premium, like some pretty broadways in the blinds. I've raised versus limpers. We've missed the flop the 70% of the time we're supposed to miss it, and then I've kind of been struggling for ways to continue aggressively in the hand. So you guys are going to hate it. There is a reason why I'm doing this. It's to avoid shitty post-flop situations that I'm not good at. And you've seen, even from small pots here, it's not difficult to blow the pots up pretty big. Post-flop when you flop well. Not saying it's ideal, not saying it's good, but just honest, giving you reasons. So we flop what I think is the nuts. We bet and we get raised, and this guy was super, super passive. So I'm already not loving it. Certainly can't 3-bet here because we could be drawing dead. But we can't fold. So I just call. Turn. Doesn't change anything. We check. He pots it. So what we're doing here, we've got a super, and this guy is ridiculously passive. A super loose passive guy who's raised 3x our bet on the flop. I think we potted the flop. He's raised 3x. We've checked the turn. Now he's bet full pot. What are we doing here? We're calling and then calling on rivers that don't pair the board or don't bring an extra diamond. Are we raising now and just like if he's got a flush, whatever, but we're ahead of anything that isn't a flush? Or are we folding now, thinking loose passive guys are just never bluffing here, and for the very rare occasions that they are bluffing, let them bluff? Or maybe he's value betting worse. Maybe he's got like ace king with a diamond, or maybe he's just, I don't fucking know. Maybe he's like value raising and value betting a worse hand. So what are we doing? Are we jamming? Are we calling? Or are we bitching up and folding? I wasn't happy with the situation. I bitched up and folded. And that's the end of the video. That's the last hand. If you've got this far and you've seen that last fold, you're not going to be happy with me, I think. Or a lot of people won't be happy. Whatever. I've made tighter folds that have got me more criticism than that, I think. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please do get in touch if you want to throw a few quid my way for the charity. I know I do have some very friendly, very loyal viewers who want to contribute, so please do. There won't be any more spam videos after this one, like spamming that. It's a one-time only thing. If you got this far, by the way, you're probably a fan of the channel, and you'll be aware that I enjoy watching Duesenberg stream, and he does some just chatting streams occasionally, and I'm going on his channel on Monday for a just chatting stream. Not that comfortable about it. I don't like being on webcam much. That's why I started putting webcams in my videos lately, just to try and get more comfortable with it. So we're going on his just chatting stream. The only reason I'm doing it is because I want to try and tap into his community and raise some money for my charity. So yeah, we're going to be talking a bit about poker, and then just generally, just hopefully having some entertaining and amusing banter for a few hours. His stream starts at 6:30 on Monday what date's it going to be? On Monday the 12th of October. His stream starts at 6:30. I'll be coming on it from around 7:30, probably going till 10:30 PM, 11 PM when the wife goes to bed. So yeah, come along and join that if you can. Even if you don't want to donate, just come along. Hopefully it should be a good fun night, and the banter and the trolling will be flying. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Get in touch if you want to donate. Get in touch if you want to get in these games. If you don't want to do either of those things, then that's completely fine. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll be back next Tuesday with my next video. Take care, and bye bye for now.